Well, I'm just sitting here in my chair watching Greg run around in the yard down there. I just realized there's a tree over there in the yard. I've never even seen that tree before. It's been there for a while now. It's probably because it doesn't have any leaves on it. I went over and knocked on it the other day. Actually, I just noticed it yesterday, if that makes any sense. But went over and knocked on it. It feels like it's still alive. It just hasn't budded. So if it is alive, it's not doing well. And if it's dead, it just died recently. That big old oak tree there, man, that thing throws some good shade. Look at all that shade under that oak tree. That's going to be a good picnic table spot right there in the driveway, I think. I was just imagining having a picnic. I was going to have the fellas over last weekend for a picnic, and their wives, not just the fellas. But everybody was busy, so maybe I'll do that next weekend. Well, I'm just sitting here thinking on this here lawnmower, and I'll show you something. This line up here, this wire coming out of this goes into the back of my ignition switch, and you can see it's been damaged. That looks like it's been hot, and it's also shattered. And I cracked it a little bit trying to pull the plug off of it because it's corroded pretty bad too. So this orange wire going out of the top is the wire that eventually turns into the purple wire, green wire, and then blue wire that goes to my starter back there. This company doesn't give a shit about keeping the wires the same color from end to tail. Every switch they go in on, they come out on a different color. It's just absolute insanity. But if I put 12 volts to this pin right here, my starter spins. So that means that it's making it out of here through my switch for my parking brake, through the switch for this being out here in neutral. Hear that switch? Yeah. There's one on the other one as well. So it makes it through 3 safety switches before it goes and hits the starter button. That's cool, I guess. Now the seat safety switch, yeah, safety on the seat too, baby. The seat safety switch is normally closed. What is that? I thought it was a big old butterfly. You know, it's a bird. We got a little bird up here in my garage. Boy, she flies really quiet. It does. Okay, get out of here, bird. If he puts a nest in here, he's going to be upset. Maybe he already did. I don't know. I have limited access when I close the door. Yeah, so the seat is normally closed. So it completes a circuit. And the fun part about that is it completes a circuit that runs over to one of these 3 magic mystery relays, right? That's supposed to be on the wire alarm. I can't take this off completely. Okay. 3 mystery relays here. All of which have to do with these safety switches. They're not wired in any way that would make a lot of sense. Like the ground supply of the one is in fact the switched function of the other. You know, so this wire here is actually, there is no ground on it. It's just in a hot loop. And then it comes back to the hot side of one of these relays. And then the ground side comes out, and it's the switched function of this relay. I don't even know which ones I'm touching right now. You see what I'm saying? And then this fucking one over here is a relay that works on I think for the mower deck or something like that. So I've looked at the schematic for hours now, and it's hard to determine what it does based on what you're looking at. That's what I was talking about being only so intelligent and being able to hold multiple things in my mind. Because not only that, like say this relay switched off, right? It's actually running voltage to something else. You see how we got double lines on things here and loops and whatnot? In the off function, it's actually functioning as an on function for something else. And then when you energize the relay, it switches to here. So it's actually shooting ground to this place, or it's shooting ground to this place, depending on what the condition of the seat switch is. It's just chaos. I could figure this out if I printed out this schematic, which I don't have a printer. But I don't feel like fucking with it. So somebody, as I recall, and I forgot about this last night, this wire is skinned up right here. And I forgot about that. I saw that last night. And that was skinned up because somebody stuck a wire into there. They had it like crammed into that braid there, or into that strand. And then they had it on a switch because they were stealing power out of this. I don't know why they wouldn't steal power right off the battery. And then they had that run down to the starter. And that's how they were starting it. And that made me remember that my old starter, the starter that was in it, may not have been the right starter. Or not starter, but ignition switch. This may not have been the right ignition switch to begin with, because they had the ignition jumped with a jumper wire. So when I ordered a new one of these, which is this, it may not be right anyway. So you got to figure everything out as you go. This is a 5-pinned lawnmower starter thing, right? Makes sense. If you look on the back here, they're not all the same. They all look the same, but they're not. So based on what I've been figuring out here, M stands for magneto. When you turn this off, it connects ground to magneto with the ignition switch off. So ground G to M will be connected. And then when you go to start, magneto comes off ground, and you have then G to S, or no, sorry, B to S, battery to start. So you'll have 12 volts coming through on your starter. And that's momentary as the switch is held in the start position. In the run then, they use this one, they call it L, which people keep saying it's for lights. I don't know what else it stands for. I don't really care to figure it out. But L is constant 12. So people are running L back to their fuel solenoid. So there's constant 12 volts on L when it's in the on position. So off, ground to magneto happens to shut the truck off, shut the tractor off. In start, you have power to L and to S, momentary on S for the starter. And then in on, you just have battery, which is B, to L, which is apparently lights, so if you wanted to run your lights, right, or whatever. Well, the switch that I ordered for an MTD Cub Cadet is not the switch that came out of this. Maybe I'm lucky and one of these is correct, but the switch never worked on this. And like I was saying last night, when I have the motor running, it's actually an engine. It's an internal combustion engine. People say motor all the time. When I have the internal combustion motor running, and I switch the key to on, it shuts the tractor off. So it does not do what it's supposed to do anyway. So I am a fairly smart guy. You know, I'm not the smartest guy, but I'm a pretty smart guy. Since this plug's already funky mucked all up, you know what I mean? I could just unpin it, and then I can pin these guys to those switches however I damn well please. In theory. I'll probably wrap them in electrical tape individually and then stab them on there, you know. Why? Well, because this is already broken, and I don't feel like waiting 4 more days for the proper ignition switch to come in. Now, I'm not certain what these wires do. I'm fairly certain that that's going to be a ground. And I know that for a fact that this is my power because I've been monkeying with it. And this is my output for my start. What these are, I'm not certain. So we'll have to dig into the into the manual here a little bit and see. Anyway, I'm just sitting here doing this, drinking my coffee. I'm going to be very methodical about this today. Yesterday I had to, you guys saw a little bit, I don't know, my videos don't come in chronological order. They're all over the place. I put this screen on here, before I put this cover on yesterday, and then I took this cover off and took this screen off and put this cover on, and then I didn't bolt this back on because it goes over the outside of this cover. So I just left this off, and I wasn't paying attention. What that means is that little squirrel cage in there wasn't bolted down. And at idle, it was fine. There's some pins it sits on. And of course, I had a few beers. And so I'm getting a little crazy, and I revved it up, and it off-centered and was dancing around in there going fucking crazy. And these, you can't see them, but there's 3 metal towers that are standing up here that these pins are on, these bolts are on. Why? Because they reused old parts for a new design. Those were not fastened to the cage. I didn't realize that. They're just sitting on there. So they went flying outwards, and there's one more somewhere out here somewhere. If I don't find it, and I try to put it on, oh, I can put that on from outside. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to doctor this up a little bit here. I think it's good. The tractor runs, so that's cool. I'll tee off my gas tank at some point in time today. Get my other gas tank on here. I'd really like to have the controls working on this thing and the ignition and whatnot, but I might not. I might just have to do whatever. The hydraulics work as I was showing last night, so that's good. So yesterday, although I fucked up and there's my bolt from my gas tank, it vibrated out of there. Yep. Started it with the little squirrely cage not hooked up and shot my bolts into the oblivion somewhere. I can't find that damn hole in the bottom of there. Yeah, one was laying over here, one was up there, one was over there. So I guess maybe it makes sense that one would be back here somewhere. But they came loose inside the engine shroud. So they went out and hit things. Anyway, so I freaked out, and of course I don't have the ignition hooked up to this damn thing, you know? So I can't shut it off. This thing's dancing around here, throwing shit everywhere inside the shroud, and these bolts are blasting into I mean, it fucked up the fan in there a little bit. I broke some fan blades off the damn thing. That's what you get for drinking beer when you're working on lawn equipment. So, I I eventually shut it off by disconnecting the fuel solenoid, which when I thought about it now, if I'd have just done this, whoop, I could have just pulled the choke shut on it. But I put my hand there and tried coughing off the, choking off the intake. But it's got a little secret hole right here where it sucks the oil off the top of the engine. So it kept sucking air. I was freaking out. 3 seconds of chaos. So I yanked off the fuel solenoid. All right. Anyway, enough of me blabbing. Having my morning blab and my morning coffee. I'm going to check for the proper voltages and whatnot at that stupid plug. And then I'm going to check that my pins are correct on those, which they probably aren't. And if they are not, I'm at least going to check them for functionality. I'm going to repin this. And we're going to get this motherfucker running today off the proper controls. I'll let you know that. It's happening. Spend too many of my weekends looking at this stupid thing. All right.